Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first theatre workshop presented by Freshbox Productions. My name is Namhla, and I will be taking you along this discovery of theatre making. And today's topic is going to be stage management. But before we go through what is stage management, one needs to know what is theatre, what are the different types of theatres are there, what are the different types of stages that are found in theatre, and also what are the different types of roles that are there in theatre spaces that are needed for a production. So, the first thing you need to know is, what is theatre? Theatre is a space or place where a performance takes place. But to make it even more understandable, theatre is a place where it can either be outdoor or indoor, where an actor is going to be on stage and then there's an audience who's watching what the actor is doing. So in dictionary terms, the theatre is explained in three different ways. One, a building or outdoor area in which plays and other dramatic performances are given. Two, a room or hall for lectures with seats in tiers. And number three, theatre is a collaborative form of performing art that uses live performances, typically actors and actresses, to present the experience of a real or imagined event before a live audience in a specific place, often a stage. So you see, theatre can happen at any place, at any time, at any day, as long as there's a performer and an audience member watching it. So that's when theatre happens. So you can have theatre happening in trees and stadiums, on stages in theatre, like buildings, like it can happen anywhere. So that's what theatre is. So in theatre, or should I say, there are three basic elements of theatre. One is theatre, two is actor, and three is the audience. So to create theatre and transform the audience from ordinary to extraordinary, there are 6 basic elements of theatre one needs to know. One is audience, 2 is performers, 3 is the script and text, 4 is the director, 5 is the theatre space, 6 is the design elements. And then in the design elements, I'll go through what are the different types of design elements that you find in theatre spaces. The elements of design are used to create the proper context of a play production for the main art object of theatre dramatic action. The production design aspects of theatre are as follows. 1. Lighting. 2. Set and props. 3. Music. 4. Sound. And 5. Costume. So, as I've mentioned before, that there are different types of theatres, right? So, one is puppet shows, mime, musical theatre, drama, comedy, tragedy, improvisation, fantasy, and action, right? And then there are different types of theatre stages that you find, right? And number one is proscenium stages. This stage is mostly used in different. It's the most common stages that you will find for theatre productions. So that's the nice thing about proscenium, because it suits the type of shows that are created around the world.
The most well-known type of stage is called a proscenium. This is a Latin word meaning in front of the scenery. Most school auditoriums are proscenium theaters. A proscenium always has a proscenium arch forming a frame through which the audience views the show. Let's take a look at this example. Do you see the frame? At the bottom of the proscenium arch, there is an invisible line that connects the frame's sides. The plaster line is what divides the stage behind the proscenium from the apron in front of the curtain. Let's look at that in action. Watch as this curtain opens. The line on the stage floor that the curtain touches is the plaster line. Designers must consider the location of the plaster line to be able to hide scenery from the audience's view. Anything placed in front of this line cannot be hidden by the curtain. Behind the plaster line is the stage space itself, and in front of it is the apron. The apron is the farthest downstage area of a proscenium stage and can be used as additional acting or scenic space. You can see the apron and plaster line in this diagram of a proscenium stage.
And then you find the arena theater, or you can call it theater in the round. That theater is mostly like, for example, if you watch soccer, then you know that the audience is circling the stage and the performers, well, the players are inside the stage. So it's called theater in the round because of that. So it's called arena theater, that one. Ne?
You might be familiar with an arena. This is the type of space where large sporting events are most frequently held. Theaters can also be arenas. An arena stage is completely surrounded with audience members. This is why arena stages may also be called theater in the round. Arena stages are the most difficult for designers and actors to work with. It's quite hard to play to all sides at once. It takes a lot of work and rehearsal to get these shows looking amazing.
So a thrust stage is when a theater is surrounded on 3 sides of the stage.
For our next type of stage, think of Florida. Florida is a peninsula surrounded on 3 sides by water. The 4th side is good old Georgia. A peninsula thrusts out from the main landmass into the water. That is exactly what to expect from a thrust stage. A thrust stage is surrounded by audience members on 3 sides. Designers must be careful to avoid blocking any audience member's view with large scenery by placing it farther upstage.
And then the black box stage is more flexible for performances. It's where you can put your seating or your audience seats anywhere you feel. You can interchange the seating area for the audience in a black box. So it's a nice a stage to or theater stage to use for any type of theater that type of performance that you wanna do. So it's very well flexible and diverse in terms of that. Hippodromes is the number 5 of theater stages. Hippodromes are similar to circuses and have a centric circular arena surrounded by a concentric tiered seating. Deep pits or low screens often separate the audience from the arena. Platform stages. These usually consist of a raised rectangular platform at one end of a room. They can either have a level or raised sloping floor. The audience sit in rows facing the stage. Platform stages are often used in multi-purpose halls where theater is only of the space's use. So this is more like when you're having festivals and all of that. So that's the type of stage that they're talking about here, platform stages, where you have a deck and all of that. So those are the type of stage that they're talking about here, like for outside festivals and all of that as well. Open air theaters. These are outdoor theaters that do not have a roof, although sometimes parts of the stage or audience seating will be covered. These stages may make use of the natural light as it changes during the day, particularly sunset. So these types of theater stages will be covered in the area of the audience members, and then the stage will be there. It's almost like the Greek theater stages that we used to have there. Okay. Site-specific theater. Site-specific theater is usually performed in a non-traditional theater space such as a pub, home, warehouse, often reflecting the history, atmosphere, or experience of a particular location. So for example, this happens when when a performer is performing in clubs, in outside and all of that. So those are non-traditional theater spaces that they use when they do that. Nah?
Remember being a kid, how you let your imagination transform anywhere you were into anywhere you could imagine? That's what happens in flexible stages. Street performers like these clowns are masters of flexible spaces. Think about attending a parade. Notice how audience members just fill in wherever they can? Theaters can use this technique indoors or outdoors to create unique, organic, flexible spaces for performances. Flexible stages can be just about anything, so this diagram is only one of an infinite number of examples. The stage can be any shape, and the audience can be located anywhere.
Promenade theater, this involves the audience moving from place to place following the actor or the actors and performance. So for example, let's say it's almost like a gallery type of performance where a performer is performing here, and then the performance leads to another station and the audience has to follow through to that station. Sometimes they're led by a stage manager to go through and to go to the next station, and also stage crew. Stage crew members can also lead them to show them, okay, the performance is going to go to this way now, the performance is going to go to that way. So that's what the promenade theater is. So it's basically not in one place, but traveling through different spaces during a performance. And then the Traverse stage is a form of theater stage in which the audience is predominantly on both sides of the audience members, and then the stage is in the middle. End stage, a thrust stage extended wall to wall like a thrust stage with audience on just one side, the front. Backstage is behind the background wall. There is no real wing spaces to the sides, although there may be entrances located there. So normally these types of theaters where there's no wings, it's just a wall on each side of the stage, and the stage is here and then the audience is here. So the actors, sometimes you find the actors in there, and yeah, so that's what it is. So those are all the types of stages that you find in a theater space. So in theater, there are different types of stage positions that you can find. The ones that I'm going to be mentioning now are 9 stage positions that are basically known all around South Africa. So the one that I'm standing on now is called the center stage. Center stage is normally in the middle of the stage, directly in the middle of the stage. That's where the performer is at, is called the center stage. And because I'm looking at the audience, how I define left and right is with my hands. So the left side of the stage is going to be my left hand side, and the right side of the stage is going to be my right hand side. And normally the right hand side is where the assistant stage manager is always placed, and then the left hand side is where the stage manager is placed. And the stage manager's place is also known as the prom side, and then the right hand side is known as the OP side, the opposite prom side. The opposite prom side is normally linked with the loading bay and all of that, and that's when the props and all of those things enter. That's why normally the assistant stage manager will be given the duty of making sure that all the props, costume are in, while the stage manager is making sure that all the cues are being called at the right time and all of that. Yeah? So going into the different types of stage positions. There's center stage, yeah? And then right behind me, that's the psych area, which is also called the upstage. And then down here which is like directly in front of the audience members, is called downstage, because of how the stage is sitting and the audience is here. Because of how the stage is sitting and the audience is here, and the apron stage is here and the audience is here. So this is downstage and this is up. So you see, this is up, this is down. So that's how you define it. And then you find the cyclorama that is there. Ne? And then, because this is prom side, which is also left hand side, and then this is OP side, which is the right hand side, is called, we're gonna say maybe center stage right, center stage left, and then center stage up, center stage down. Ne? And then here, when you are down here, down stage left, down stage right. And then when you are up here, you're gonna say up stage left and up stage right. So those are all the 9 different types of stage positions that you find in a theater space.
Picture this. It's your first day at rehearsal and you are pumped to be part of your first production. As soon as you walk on stage, your director shouts, "Cross downstage left." You're totally stumped. What is cross? What is downstage? My left or the director's left? Chill out, we are here to help. We need to do just a tiny bit of time travel for this to make sense. Here we are in the Middle Ages. You'll be learning more about this time period later on in our class, but for now, just notice how these stages are set up. Let's take a closer look at this one in the bottom right. That's better. There are lots of interesting things happening in this painting, but we need to focus on just 2 of them: the angle of the stage and the angle of the audience. The audience that is watching this performance is all standing on a level surface, like the floor of your classroom. Have you ever tried watching a movie from the back of your class? All your classmates' heads are going to get in your way no matter what you do, right? This was true for these audience members as well. To make up for the poor sight lines of the audience, these stages were built on an angle. Notice how the back of the stage is higher off the ground than the front of the stage? This is called a rake. Raked stages are built to slant up from the audience so that the audience is better able to see the performers. We still use a rake today, but it's most frequently used for seating nowadays instead of the stage itself. Raked stage are awfully dangerous for performers, but raked seating is quite safe and comfortable for the audience. Raked stages are where our stage direction terminologies begin. This diagram demonstrates where we get our terms from. The director requested you to cross downstage, remember? According to this diagram, downstage is the area nearest to the audience, because on a raked stage, this is the area that is literally lower to the ground. This is what our stages look like today, regardless of rake. Downstage is always nearest to the audience, while upstage is always farthest away from the audience. If your director asks you to cross downstage, she's asking you to move, cross, toward the audience, downstage. You're halfway there. Now, to figure out this left and right business, I have great news for you if you're an actor. Stage left and stage right are always referring to the actor's left and right sides as they're facing the audience. Here's what those areas of the stage look like. If your director asks you to go left, you'll end up on the green side of this stage diagram. When we put downstage and upstage with left and right, we end up with 9 primary stage areas. Notice that the center is simply called center. Easy enough there, right? It takes some practice, but stage directions quickly become second nature to actors and technicians working on a production. Think you've got it?
In theater, there are 4 main theater types of productions, and they are dance, opera, drama, and musical theaters. So those types of theaters are essentially mostly common in theater spaces in general. So as I've mentioned earlier, is that there are different types of theater roles per production. And these happen for pre-production, production, and post-production. So these are the different personnels that you will find in a theater space for a production. These are dramaturge, producer, director, playwright, scenic designer, scenographer, lighting designer, costume designer, set designer, sound designer, composer, music director, choreography, and movement director. So choreography can be also known as choreographer. Yeah? So in production, during the production stage, you will find the actor, the audio engineer, backstage, carpenter and master carpenter, charge artist, dancer, electrician, front of house manager, lighting technician, master electrician, musician, paint crew, playbill writer, production manager, property master, publicist, scenic artist, stage hands, assistant stage manager, technical director, theater technician, and wardrobe supervisor. And the wardrobe supervisor will also have their assistants and all of that. So those are the types of personnel that you will find in a theater space during the production phase. And then the theater staff, these are the members who are responsible of running a theater group from year to year. Their objective is to facilitate the success of an individual production. Staff positions help ensure good attendance in safe facilities. They help ensure the theater remains financially solvent, that it is well run, and it is perceived as an asset to the community it serves. So those are the different types of theater personnel, theater staff. So you will find that there is an artistic director, a theater manager, the administrator of the theater, director of production, technical director, costume director, marketing director, director of public relations, director of audience services, director of development, director of special events, dramaturg, literary manager, company manager, house manager, usher, ticketing agent, crew chief, janitor, dresser, stage crew, flyer crew, lighting board operator, spotlight operator, grips, call boy, and stage hand who alert actors and actresses of the entrances during a performance. So in theater, those are the types of theater staff that you'll find on a normal theater running space. So with all this information that I've just explained now, during this workshop, I'm just going to be going through 4 different types of positions that I'll be explaining, which is the stage manager, the lighting technician slash designer, the sound technician slash designer, and the fuller spot operator. So those are the 4 that I'll be dealing with during this process of this workshop. So now let's go through what we have came for this workshop today. What is stage management? Stage management is the practice of organizing and coordinating a theatrical production. It encompasses a variety of activities, including organizing the production and coordinating communications between various personnels. The personnels are between directors, backstage crew, or actors, and production management.
How to become a good stage manager. Stage management is an art that is learned through extended study, mentoring, and experience. In the world of professional theater, the stage manager is one of the most important players. Far more than just calling cues, the stage manager's position starts months before rehearsal and continues at 110% throughout the run, maintaining the artistic integrity of the show. Think you got what it takes? Preparing in advance. Meet with the director and producer. Though each production is different, odds are at least one of these 2 will become your new best friend. They definitely have expectations for the production and for you, so start off on the right foot by asking what those are. Are there any duties they want to do themselves? Some directors like to take things into their own hands. How do they want rehearsals run? Do they have any specific guidelines you should be aware of? And be sure to establish a routine where you 2 or 3 can check in with each other post-rehearsal. Be an organizational machine. Months before rehearsals begin, you'll need to start scheduling and coordinating. A good stage manager can take in all of the scheduling needs from the director, music director, vocal director, choreographer, fight choreographer, dialect coach, movement coach, production manager, costume designer, etc. and reasonably accommodate everyone's needs in a timely manner. Basically, the stage manager is a miracle worker. You'll need to come up with the following: contact sheet, rehearsal schedule, email lists, conflict calendar, production calendar, daily reports, properties list, keep updated, set design communicated to all staff, keep updated, furniture and set decoration list, keep updated, costume plot, keep updated, set dates for production meetings. And this is just the paperwork prior to the run. Meet with the technical director. He or she is probably the one that'll give you a set of keys. How else will you be able to do your job? Talk with them about what they see as the biggest obstacles in the show and what you should know about the setup of that specific theater. Take a thorough walk around the theater, familiarizing yourself with everything from emergency exits to the most convenient trash can. This theater will be home for the next few months. The quicker you get to know it, the easier your job will be.
And what is a stage manager? A stage manager is the one who has overall responsibility for stage management and the smooth execution of a production. So they make sure that everything runs smoothly in a production. They make sure that everything runs smoothly when it comes to the ins and outs of the stage during a performance.
Prepare your stage manager kit. Since you're basically Anne Sullivan and the show is Helen Keller, you need to be prepared for anything. When anything goes wrong, even the director won't be the one everyone turns to, it'll be you. So stock your kit with everything you could possibly need. But here are a few ideas to get you started. Band-aids, batteries, chalk, erasers, paper clips, pens, ruler, safety pins, scissors, small sewing kit, stopwatch, tampons.
So in the past years, I have had the privilege of being a stage manager for different types of productions around South Africa. And for me, being a stage manager means that you have to be a very organized person, a person who can think out of the box and be able to fix problems like as you go, you know what I mean? So it requires a lot because everything and everyone is coming to you to ask questions and for you to come up with solutions for everything. So a stage manager basically deals with a lot of things. So I've come across that a stage manager's job can be difficult if a person doesn't know what they're doing. So you need to also know what you're doing as a stage manager, who to call when this happens, or where to go when you need this, and all of that. So the beginning stages of a stage manager's job, obviously you get hired to be a stage manager of a production, right? And then there are key things that you need as a stage manager. You need to have the script. You need to have the stage manager's bag, and that bag has a lot of things that you're going to be needing as a stage manager running a show. And then the script also, and the script is going to be placed into a Bible. That's what they call the stage management handbook or stage management Bible, where you have all your lighting cues, your sound cues, your set cues, all your prompts and everything. So that's where you basically put everything there, and also the contacts of your actors, the lighting plans, the sound plans, the floor plans. Basically everything that has to do with the show is in that handbook or is in that stage management Bible. So the first thing that a stage manager goes through, you get a script, you have to read through the script. Once you read through the script, you have to read it again. After you read it again, now you kind of get in the gist of what the show is about or what to expect during the show.
Prepare your prompt book. This starts off with the script blown up in a binder. Make it one-sided, hole punched on the right. That way on the left of the binder you have the script, and to the right of it you can place a blocking sheet, hole punched on the left. If you have a ground plan of your set, add that in too. You don't have to do it just like this, but you should have something similar. Having a book that has everything you need will keep you sane. Include post-it notes or other markers to make everything easily accessible. Blocking sheet templates can be found online. You should have a template for everything, really. Know the script like the back of your hand. This show is your baby. You need to know when a the gets dropped, when a prop enters a line too late, when the spot is 6 inches (15.2 centimeters) to the right, etc. Knowing it so well you can see it when you close your eyes sounds stressful, but it makes everything so much easier. Knowing the script will help you generate a scene breakdown. Make a prop plot. Know all costume needs. Be sure to have this done before or during prep week, the week before rehearsals start. Be sure to have this done before or during prep week, the week before rehearsals start. Form your crew. Line up the crew that will be working the show and clearly communicate what you know of the show needs to them. Everything is still in its preliminary stages, but the sooner you know you have other people you can depend on, the quicker you can relax. Your ASM, assistant stage manager, will be your right hand. When you can't be in two places at once, they'll be getting the job done. You'll also need crew for lights, sound, props, and working backstage. The size of your production will determine how many people you need.
And then once you do that, now you have to go through and see what are the props needed for the show, right? And also, what are the possible sound cues or sound that is going to be needed for the show, right? And then after that, you go through that, and obviously there will be a person who's going to be doing the set, who's going to be providing the props and the music and all of that. Sometimes as a stage manager you have to do all those things, but sometimes they do have someone who's going to be in charge of that department, which is a costume person, there's a set designer, a props master, and a lighting designer, and a sound designer, and all of that. So those people, they do all the designing of the show, and then at the end, before the opening night, then they hand the show over to, after the opening night, they hand over the show to the stage manager, so the stage manager can run the show throughout the season. So that's what stage management is all about. Okay, so during a production, let's say now you get hired for production, as I've stated earlier. So the first thing that you go through as a stage manager is the phase of getting the script. And sometimes you are ordered as the stage manager to make sure that every cast member has the script. So you need to make sure that each and every actor or performer has the script. Ne? After you do that, then you're going to attend the rehearsals now with the director and the actors, and by this time you are taking notes of what's happening with the production. So make sure that as a stage manager, you make sure that you have all the notes taken. Every type of note that you get from the director, in terms of what costume they would like, in terms of the scene, the blocking and all of that, so that when the director is not there, then you can stand in as the second director, like helping the actors get in line or remember where they're supposed to be when the director is not there. So you go through that rehearsals phase. Sometimes this rehearsal phase happens in a studio or in a rehearsal studio somewhere, before you guys move into the theater space. So that's what happens during that phase. And then once you guys have moved in on stage, that's when now everything is starting to happen, where the basic or the different elements of theater happens, where they are going to be transforming the audience from ordinary to extraordinary through these different elements, which are the design, the costume designer, the lighting, the set, the sound, and all of that. So all these designers are going to be doing everything that has to do with the production, and then once they're done, then they hand over the show to the stage manager. And during that process, everything that has to do with the show, the director will tell the stage manager sometimes, and the stage manager will pass the message to the different departments of the theater, so that those departments make sure that they do those things. And as a stage manager, while you are in those rehearsal spaces, you are doing reports every day. You are doing a report of what was needed, what happened, who came in late, and who did this, who did that. So those are the things that you do. And then once the show is handed over to the stage manager, now the show is on the stage manager's hands, where the stage manager is going to be calling the show, calling the lights, the sound, the the set and all of that. So the audience, the crew members, the stage manager might communicate with the crew members via the comms, né? So the comms make it easier for the stage manager to be able to communicate with the crew through that. So in big theaters or theaters that can afford to have those things, that they can do that. But some theaters, they do not have comms. So we communicate via eye contact or via people knowing the cues, knowing when to go in, when to go out. So those are the things. So the different departments, like for example, the lighting technician, the sound technician, the stage crew, they should know when to put in the set, when to go, and that is rehearsed during the rehearsal stages. So that when they go in the theater and the show is running, they know what to do. Because sometimes they don't have comms to communicate those things. So I've mentioned earlier that the stage manager has a Bible. So if that Bible goes missing, then the stage manager is fucked. Sorry to say, but the stage manager is screwed. So that means the stage manager has to make sure that she has copies or a copy of that handbook. And that handbook always has all the cues of the entire show. Ne? So they must make sure that they have a duplicate of that file or that Bible for safety. And sometimes without that Bible, sometimes the shows can't happen because there are certain cues and prompts and all of that happens during a production. So in the nutshell, a stage manager carries the show, even though it is unnoticed sometimes, but yes. Another job of a stage manager is to have control over time. A stage manager has control over time in terms of she's the one who has to make sure that times are kept, the schedule is kept the way it's supposed to go. If the lunch is supposed to be 30 minutes, lunch is supposed to be 30 minutes. If doors have to open at this time, the doors have to open at this time. And the stage manager is a timekeeper for the actors and the actresses and the people behind backstage to know, okay, now we have 5 minutes left or we have 10 minutes left. So they will do the calls, the time calls, which are 10 minutes before doors open, 5 minutes before doors open, 2 minutes before doors open, everyone silence, doors opening, all of that. So she makes sure that she keeps the time of the schedule intact all the time. Another funny thing about stage managers is that they are the first people to come in the venue and they are the last people to go out of the venue, because they have to make sure that everything runs smoothly from the beginning up until the end when we have to leave. So they make sure that all the stage is mopped, all the set is there, all the costume is there, all the props, all the set, all the lighting cues are there, everything is there. And then when we're going home, everything is packed up away and all of that. So they make sure that everything is taken care of before and after the cast member and the crew members leave the theater, before the show and after the show.